Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about why cyber dragons are so good and why nobody else thinks that. We'll cover both those things pretty in depth, so make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the video. But first, we're going to be holding a 3v3 tournament in the cyber dragon group. It will be open to all decks, so come join the link down below for that if you want. We will have more information to follow. I'll probably do a video explaining how we're going to run it, but it should be a lot of fun and a lot of people voted for it, and that's how we decided to do that tournament. So, some common misconceptions with cyber dragons: the deck can't go first, and it's OTK or bust. There is no grind game. I don't agree with either one of them. We have a few solid options going first, even if it's as simple as making like infinity overflow with a hand trap. Because I mean, if you think about that, a multi-pop, an omni negate, and a hand trap kind of sounds familiar to a deck that's been meta for a very long time, being Salamangreat. Not saying the decks are completely similar, because outside of that there is a lot of differences, especially in the grind game, the OTK factors, everything like that. But setting up a first turn board of a hand trap, omni negate, multi-pop sounds kind of similar, so if it's bad for one deck, well, wouldn't it be bad for the other? Also, we can grind out wins pretty good thanks to cards like Cyberload, Hers, Naxter, being able to recycle stuff, overflow, searching, and popping in opponent's field, so we do have a lot of really good options there to help in the grind game. I will mention this though, cyber dragons are not an easy deck to pilot. A lot of people think they are and say that they are, but then why aren't we seeing a lot of success? In my opinion, and I've talked with some other notable players, it really requires a vast knowledge of the current meta and how all these decks play, so you know when to use your interactions with them to best slow them down to make them end on a weaker board, and knowing when to establish board presence and when to swing for game and go for the OTK is huge. And there's so many little interactions with our deck personally. In the link down below is my guide to Cyber Dragon video. It is a bit longer, but there's a lot of good stuff in there, like facts that a lot of people don't know. Hers doesn't target. Little things like that. If they judgment your core, you can still banish it from the graveyard using your Cyberload or your Overflow to protect your core search from an impermanence or something of that sort. So there's a lot of really neat little interactions, but that video is down below if you want to check it out. So why don't people like cyber dragons? I think there's a few reasons. One, it's a bit older of a deck and everyone likes new things, you know, it just kind of happens. There is the nostalgia and the fan base, and it is one of the more popular decks throughout the game's history. But most know of the deck, but a lot of them don't truly know the deck. It's a glass cannon, it can't go first like we said, and we kind of covered those two options already before. Other things, what does like every tier 1, tier 0 deck have in common? One card combos. Cyber Dragons does not have that. Just the sad reality of it. We don't have one card combos. We're not tier 1. I do think we're very, very competitive, and we can compete with any meta regardless of bad matchups. I mean, you look at Brian Ramirez getting top 8 at YCS Pasadena 2018 during the format where Altergeist was very popular, and Thunder Dragon, despite that, or maybe it was right before Thunder Dragon, but it was not a good format for us, and he still made top 8 at a YCS because he's an incredible player and knows the deck very, very well. Additionally, Thunder Dragon and Sky Striker, although that matchup is more favorable, but Thunder Dragon was very, very popular when Alex Monlack got top 8 at YCS Chicago. So again, another format with a very tough matchup, but yet we got a good result from a very, very good player. Chimera Techs, meaning Fortress and Mega Fleet, a lot of people think that they're a death sentence, especially when we talk about the mirror tournaments in the group, and people just say, oh, it's Fortress Dragon and win, when that's really not true at all. That's why I urge people to play the mirror tournaments, because you learn so much and how to play around things like that. I actually enjoy the mirror personally, and at a regional level I'm still yet to lose one, and most people just don't know how to play it is what I find, and it comes back to get them like that. We've seen people in the mirror tournament in the group actually go and 2-0 every single person in the group, and he went on to actually win 2 mirror tournaments in a row, not surrendering a single match. moving forward, people say it's inconsistent and bad matchups. Like I just kind of talked about, we don't have the 1-card combos, but thanks to new cards like Verde Anaconda, we do have a handful of 2-card combos. And if you're worried about consistency, pay attention here. Cut Machine Dupe. I know that's not going to go over well because a lot of people like it, but it really, really does help. And as far as bad matchups go, well, that kind of ties into it too. But like I said, it's about knowing your matchups and having your deck built to take them out. But I do agree we don't have the consistency to be tier 1, but we have plenty of good reasons that we can be competitive and take people by surprise. So let's talk about those reasons. Why are Cyber Dragons good? We talked about why people don't like them. So now why are they good, and why should people not sleep on them, and why should more people decide to play them? Well, we can easily main 12 to 18 cards for a meta without issues. You might say that's bricky, you might say you can't, but if you open Core Emergency with 1 extender, like 2 cards, which happen to be almost half our deck, any 2 of them, you can OTK. You can make your Infinity, your Rampage, and your Verde, which is 9,300. And it's like, well, if they have more than 2,500 attack monster, you won't be able to get through it. Unless it's an attack, you can absorb it with Infinity. But you also would have 4 other cards to slow them down, to stop them, to break their board. It's not just those 2 cards, but those 2 cards can get you 9,300 damage. We have a searchable Kaiju. So I guess showing my graphics here, those 18 cards, they can be your Ash Blossom, your Ghost Ogre, your Ghost Bell, your Ghost Reaper. Yes, Ghost Reaper, because in my opinion, these are the 8 cards that are mandatory in our extra deck, meaning there's 7 extra spots for choices, so you could easily fit 3 or 4 Reaper targets. Drone Lock, otherwise cards like Dark Ruler No More, Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Infinite Permanence. We could even throw Pankratops, Mind Control in here. But moving forward, we have a searchable Kaiju that we have a built-in out to it. So we can not only search out a Kaiju to get rid of a problematic card, we can just summon any Cyber Dragon and Fortress and get rid of it that way, so we don't even have to worry about outing the big attack monster. So that's a really, really good thing in my opinion. Otherwise, variants and text, we can easily put Parallax Exceed in because we, well, go into Almirage or like a Linkuriboh even very, very early, which means you can get like a Redoer with your Lambda and search out Gamma. You can get Dujaris and search for more extenders. By search I mean draw 2. Abyss Dweller is very, very good this format. You can go with the Utopia package for One Punch Man as if we need more firepower and try and OTK that way. Or you can even do Rafflesia and get the Trap Hole from your deck to stop a hand trap or to stop Nibiru. Like, the card's is so versatile and we can take advantage of it very, very well. Whether you're playing it with the Orcus or not, the Scrap Engine is something Cyber Dragons can really take advantage of. ABC, Orcus, kind of touched on. Invoked. Mech Cybers are so fun. Anchor Drill for our Calamities, yeah, you can do that too. And O-Line, I'm not just talking the Synchro version here, because if Jet Synchron gets hit on the ban list or not, we'll see. But Cyber Dragons being all machines and spamming out the board, we can make a Rorodon really, really easily without Halka-Fibrex, without Jet Synchron. And then you can get to your O-Lion and you can go into like a Boral Savage with your Infinity, stuff like that, very, very easily in this deck. Also contributing to the going first boards. On to the sorry, one more point I want to throw out there. You don't need to win the die roll with Cyber Dragons. Some decks, if you don't go first, you lose. Well, we don't. We can go first. We can go second. Ideally, you're going to want to go second. You're going to probably choose to go second. But if you lose the die roll, you don't lose the game like some decks do. On to more archetype cards now. Cyber Dragon Core is one of the best normal summons out there. You can't change my mind on that. Not only does it search out and give access to the entire archetype, being spells and traps, but then the spells can search into any of the monsters that you would need. It also can get you access to your Kaiju, to your Galaxy Soldier, to your Cyber Eltan, and this card, it just does everything for you, and it is one of the best normal summons in the game. Also, if it's in the graveyard and you don't have a monster, you can banish it and summon any of your Cyber Dragon monsters from your deck. So not only does it give you access to any of your cards, it can also summon any of your monsters out of the deck. Cyber Dragon Hers, like we said, it doesn't target, just for anyone wanting to know that little bit. but it allows you to get back any of your Cyber Dragons from graveyard. So you can get your core back, you can get your Naxter back. I've actually used him to shuffle my Seeger back into the extra deck just so I can make it again and beat over a card, because otherwise I had no way to out their boss monster. So keep that in mind too, but it allows you to keep playing past turn 1 and helps in the grind game. Naxter's a searchable reborn for the deck that can also be special summoned out of the deck and then bring back your Infinity, your Rampage, your Seeger, things like that. Even Dingirsu and other variants. It's just very, very versatile and a really good card. Fear dropped by a lot of people, but I highly recommend it. Its built-in chain blocking overall is why I have this card here and I'm talking about it, because you can chain block your core against Borreload Savage, against an Infinity, against Appaloosa, and Ash Blossom, stuff like that in the hand. You can chain block it. If you summon your Naxter, you could chain block a Ghost spell from it. Otherwise, Galaxy Soldier and Cyber Dragon Hertz, you can chain block them. Your Naxter and your Hertz, you can chain block there. Just the deck has a really good ability to form chain blocks to protect certain things that you may want. Onto the spells, Cyber Emergency. It's one of the better archetype search spells in the game. You know, whereas here, so Cyber Emergency, it can search out any of your archetype monsters and Cyber Eltanin. So that's kinda good. I don't know about you. Some people think it could search out Kaiju, but it can't, because a Kaiju can be normal summoned. You just don't really do it ever. Like, ever. But, so why is Emergency broken and better than other search cards? If your opponent negates the activation, you can discard a card and add it back. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Ash Blossom doesn't negate activation, but, you know, anything that does, like a Nat Beast. I had played against a Dino player a while back, and he had Calamity's Nat Beast and Conductor Tyranno on the field, and I had Overflow and Emergency and a bunch of Cyber Dragons, and I just kept emergencying and ditching all my Cyber Dragons, and then I set, oh, and he had the Fossil Dyna too, and I ended up getting the OG, Hers, Core, and Fear all in the graveyard. Set Overflow on his turn. I blew up his entire board, and he had like 8 cards in deck, and he had to quit. So, not that most people would do that, it's just an option and something we could do, and it was really fun to see. Cyber Repair Plant. This card can search out your Kaiju, your Soldier, or again, any of your Cyber Dragon monsters. So, 2 really good search cards. And if you're playing it at 2 and 3, so that's 5 really good searchers, and you're playing 3 of your core, then it's just, there's so many good search cards and recursion here in the deck, and people just really don't give it the credit that it deserves, I think. And if you have 3 Cyber Dragons in the graveyard, you can shuffle back a Light Machine. Why does that come up? So if you're playing Machine Dupe and 3 Cyber Dragons, it comes up because you can shuffle an OG back into your deck, keeping your Machine Dupes live. Otherwise, if you're playing 3 Galaxy Soldier, you can activate it, go to search out your 3rd Soldier, but you used both effects, so then you shuffle back one of your 2 engrave into the deck, search your 3rd, shuffle the 1 back. Now when you summon the 3rd, you can search the one you just shuffled back and use your Galaxy Soldier combo again. This is really good resource management, and these are the little things I say that make or break Cyber Dragons at the next level. Cyber Rev System. I've been on the fence a lot with this card, but it is really, really good. It's a searchable Reborn, another one because the deck needs more. But it also offers protection. It doesn't target, and it can summon from the hand. It is really versatile and a very, very good card. Cyberload Fusion now. So like I said, you can protect your core search because assuming you have a banished or on-field Cyber Dragon monster, you summon core and they go to impermanence it. It has to be on the field for impermanence to negate it. You can Cyberload, remove your core, and get your search that way. So Cyberload, it's a quick play, so you can do what we just said. You can use it in your battle phase, meaning you can go into like a Cyber Twin or I guess like Rampage or something to push for game. Cyber Twins is really nice if you have 2 actual Cyber Dragons. One could be banished, one on field, and then that's 5,600 extra damage on top of everything. Otherwise, on your opponent's turn, you can set it, and then when you use it on your opponent's turn, you can pop their cards, assuming it's Chainlink 1, because Rampage Summon has to be the last thing to happen. Chainlink 1, summon it, pop their back row before they can use it on your turn. Just resource management. If like Dinos hits you with Lithosogem, you can cyberload back those cards, assuming you have Rampage. Like you can put your Nova, your Infinity, your Seeger, stuff like that back. So Dino players, make sure you hit the Rampage too. Rampage, Nova, probably the best targets. And as long as they don't have multiples, you're in the clear. Not to give out secrets on how to beat the deck. So, Cybernetic Overflow, it has Cyber in the name, so Core can search it. It's a free pop 1 to 4 with no cost. Yeah, no cost on a pop 1 to 4. It fuels your Cyber load, and if they go to destroy it, you can chain it, blow up their field, and then it searches out any of your starters for next turn, any of your Cyber spells or traps. Any of them, meaning if you're playing 2, you can search out another Overflow. The card is broken and one of the better traps in the game. So we have one of the best normal summons in the game, one of the best archetype searchers in the game, and one of the best traps in the game. Cyber Dragons, low-key broken, and well, maybe it's a good thing a lot of people don't play them. So Mega Fleet, this card's not quite as good as it was, not because of the Master Rule, but in my opinion because of the decks. The main decks right now, you might Mega Fleet them once, but they really don't care about a second one, so I still would play 1 but not 2, and it's actually nice now we can summon our Chimera attacks in the main zones. Fortress Dragon, especially with a searchable Kaiju, so it's basically a extra deck out to any monster, which is pretty good, assuming you get to your Kaiju. Rampage, well, it's a walking OTK. It's 6,300 on its own because it can mill 2. And when you mill 2, you can send your Hertz with your Naxter or your Core to get your Naxter or your Core back to your hand. You can use this during your main phase 2 or during your turn 1 without a battle phase, because the main effect is to send to the graveyard, not to gain the attacks. So it's not the same as the, is it Mermail, I believe? It's not the same premises. Keep that in mind, another little thing that can help you out a lot. Also, say you use this for your Nova and you detach it. Well, when you summon it, send like a Naxter to the graveyard, and then you use this for your Nova. Detach Rampage to summon your Naxter. Naxter then can summon Rampage right back, and then you can go into your Infinity, and then Rampage can mill 2 once again because it's a soft once per turn, and you can just win that game. Cyber Dragon Nova. So Nova is really good because it's an extender. You can summon back one of your Cyber Dragons from the graveyard. It's a good card for an OTK because it can banish a Cyber Dragon and gain 2100 attack. And with a Seeger, you could potentially have a 6300 beater. And if your opponent destroys it from your possession, meaning Solemns, yes. Mega Zaborg, yes. If it's sent from extra deck, field, whatever, if the summon's negated, all of that is possession, and it will trigger its effect to summon a machine fusion monster from your extra deck. And even keep in mind, say it's attached as Infinity, if they use a card like XYZ Encore, is it, where they detach the materials, that also triggers it. That's the only way to get it from a material point, is if your opponent does it. Bringing us to Infinity, this card was crazy expensive when it came out because it used to be amazing. It's still very, very powerful. Just Infinity Pass days are gone, but you can absorb an attack position monster once per turn and negate something once per turn, like Omni Negate and Destroy, so that's very, very strong. So it gains 200 attack for each material. Really good boss monster. And there are ways to get out too, but for that you'd have to go watch my Cyber Rank 4 video on the channel. Salamander, Almirage, basically a staple because now you can summon your Core, your Hertz, your Naxter, whatever, link it off into this, make your Repair Plant live, so that's always really, really nice. Cyber Dragon Seeger helps with OTKs, beating over big monsters, things like that. These cards really don't, I guess, break Cyber Dragons or make them super powerful. Almirage really helps consistency, but Verde Anaconda does. So this just enables so many ways to basically search out your Overload Fusion, because now all of our standard combos, you would like go into your Almirage and then your Nova, bring one back, go into your Infinity, and then the one you brought back with your Almirage into Verde. and then Verde out your Rampage and win the game. Like I said, 2-card OTKs are always a good thing, and assuming we don't get hit and we do get a Dragoon format, it's going to be like ridiculously easy to make Infinity Dragoon overflow in this deck, and that's without Machine Dupe again, so keep all of that in mind. I might have forgot some stuff, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and this is a little bit on why I think Cyber Dragons are criminally underrated and a very, very competitive deck, and nobody should be sleeping on them. Have a good one.